Is Wednesday, June 8th, 2011, and we are interviewing Harold and Gerald Strum, that is S-T-R-U-M, at the Quincy, Illinois Veterans Home. And Mr. Harold and Mr. Gerald Strum were born August 2nd, 1926 in Brooklyn, New York. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be the interviewer. Harold, could you state for the record what war and branch of service you served in?
When the what?
What war and branch of service you were in?
I was in World War II, the Navy.
Okay, and Gerald, what branch of service were you in?
Same, World War II, U.S. Navy.
Okay, would you prefer that I call you Harry and Jerry?
Yes.
You would, okay. Okay. And did both of you serve together at the same time?
Yes,
Yes,
we did.
we did.
In the same unit?
Yes.
Is that unusual?
Well, the Navy had a policy back and forth. They would keep brothers together, and they wouldn't keep brothers together. After the Sullivan brothers, 5 of them went down in the same ship and all died, of course. The Navy said, we're not going to do that anymore. And then they changed it. They went back and forth, I don't know how many times, but when we were drafted, it was possible for brothers to serve together, so we did.
What was your rank? Did you have the same rank, Harry?
Pharmacist mate, 3rd class.
And where did you serve?
We served at Great Lakes. That's where we served our boot camp. And then we went to Hospital Corpsman School in San Diego. And then we went to Chelsea, Massachusetts to do ward duty. And then the wars ended. We were about to be sent overseas, but the wars ended. This was in 46, so they sent us back to Great Lakes
45.
to do separation, which is discharge duty, because all the servicemen had to take a physical when they left the service, like when they came into the service. So we were put on a medical unit to do
Jay, speak up.
separation duty. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. That's it.
So what years were you in the service? When did you enlist, or were you drafted?
Drafted.
We were drafted in January of 1945, and we got out in May of 1946.
Okay. And what was your job? You were,
Hospital corpsman.
okay. Okay, and you did not go overseas, is that correct?
That is
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay. Did you receive any medals or citations?
No.
None.
Any memorable experiences or moments that you can think of about your time within the service?
Yeah,
Well, there was one time when we were separated. I had scarlet fever, and it was right at the end of boot camp, and after boot camp, you got to go home for, I don't know, a
2
week or two.
2 weeks.
So, and when you came back to Great Lakes, you got in a unit called OGU, outgoing unit.
Yeah.
And so at that time, we thought we would be separated, but he was standing in line in a, big hall with a lot of tables up there, assigning guys to different places,
To be shipped out.
to be shipped out. And a guy walked by him and said, "Aren't you one of the Strum twins?"
A coincidence.
He said, "Yes." "Where's your brother?" and all that. He said, "You see these tables up here?" "Yeah, we know." He says, "Well, I sit at one of those tables, and when your name comes up, I'll cross it off
In other words,
until I get there," which he did.
so I was able to wait for him to come back from, he finished boot camp and then went home like everyone did. In the meantime, I had been home and came back to Great Lakes, did what he said, and they allowed me to wait for him. And then when he got back, we got together again, and then went to a hospital corpsman's school in San Diego. And then we were together all the time after that.
So that was the reason why you were able to be together, was because of that man.
Actually, yeah. I guess we knew him in high school, maybe.
What? Yeah.
We knew him in high school, Springfield High School.
Really? Really?
And so he recognized me, and as he said,
We were famous, you see.
Yes, you were. That's exactly
I'm
right.
only kidding, but
No, that was exactly right.
and well, that was basically our military career, which was short and uninvolved.
Well, being stationed at the Great Lakes, and then you said Massachusetts, correct?
well, San Diego,
Okay.
then Massachusetts,
Then Massachusetts.
and then back to Great Lakes.
So you went from one border of the United States to the other side of the border, and then back into the Midwest.
That's right.
Did you find it difficult to stay in touch with your family from either border sides, or was it easier at certain locations within the United States?
Oh, it was about the same, I found, everywhere. Because we were still in this country,
Mm-hmm.
so we could call at will.
You could call on the phone or write letters, so it wasn't hard to communicate at all.
At that time, I mean, we didn't smoke. In fact, we still don't. But our mother was a heavy smoker. So every week, we'd go to the PX, which was a supply, and we'd buy a carton of cigarettes, I think for 50 cents or $1. It was cheaper than heck. And we each had a gym bag that we filled up with those cartons and sent them home. So that worked out.
When you went on leave, now how many times a year did you have leave? Once a year?
We never had what you call a real leave, except after
Boot camp.
boot camp, we went back home.
That's a two-week leave, and that's all we had for our 16 or 18 months
Our
duty. That's the only leave we had.
Which, out of all the locations that you were staying, which one did you have a fondness towards? Which one did you like the best?
Out of all what?
All the places that you were stationed, the Great Lakes, San Diego, Massachusetts.
That was, Massachusetts was Chelsea, Mass.
Which is a suburb of Boston.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Well, I think that might have been the most fun, because VJ Day and VE Day were in at that time. So
40,
there's a lot of
46.
celebrating, and girls would ask us to dances, so that was fun. In fact, that's why we went to Chelsea, because before we got in, one of the guys told us, if you have a chance, go to a small town, because all the girls will invite you to dances, over to supper, and what have you. So we had never heard of Chelsea, so we thought that would be a small town.
But it wasn't.
When we graduated core school, you got to go up and choose which location you wanted, according to how you finished in your class. We finished pretty high, because we had been in pre-med at the University of Illinois. And so we finished, what, 5th and 6th?
I don't know.
Something like that. So we got, we chose Chelsea,
In other
not
words,
knowing it, not ever having heard of it, but we figured it was a small town,
in other
which
words,
it wasn't.
after core school, you have to go to a hospital to do what they call ward duty, work on a ward. And so there was different locations in the country that you could choose from. And Chelsea, Mass was one of them. That's the one we chose.
That's pretty good. What did you think of your fellow soldiers and fellow officers? Or fellow soldiers and your officers?
What do we think of them?
How did you enjoy working with them? Did you have problems with them?
No, I thought they were fine. You know, they were officers, so when you pass an officer, you're supposed to salute, which we did, you know, just walking around. And we had no problems with officers that I remember. So that was not a problem at all.
We just felt like one of many in the company there. I mean, just, I don't know how many were there, 200 or 500 or whatever. Just, we were just two of them.
Did you live on base, or did you live in an apartment? Did you live in the barracks?
We lived on base,
Barracks.
in the barracks. The only living quarters there were a little better than they are here. These living quarters are, you're in there like sardines. I mean, it's a one space, about 10 by 10. And there's also out here what they call a day room, where you can go and sit and visit.
Have certain activities.
Yeah, they have activities.
That's here. I don't know how other, I don't know how other veterans' homes are run, but I would think about all the same, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. We were just there to do our duty, and that was it.
Did you go back to school when you got out of the service, or did you go to work right away?
Went back to school to the U of I. We had gone 2 years before being drafted. So we went back and did 2 more years and graduated in February of 1948. And then we went to work in Decatur, Illinois.
What was your profession?
Well, we didn't have a profession. We worked. We joined our grandfather in a scrap metal business, recycling. They call it now recycling. They didn't call it that then. But
We were recycling before there was recycling.
it was called the junk business, the scrap business, the reclamation business. It all amounts to recycling, which most of the public doesn't really know what it's all about. It's where the public doesn't really know about recycling. Now they do. Recent years have gotten more aware of saving metal, scrap metal, to recycle, to go back into making new metal, which saves natural resources. So we joined our grandfather in his business, so to speak. That was in February of '48.
Did you use the GI Bill to go back to school?
Pardon me?
Did you use the GI Bill when you went back to school?
Yes, we did. That was very helpful.
According to what they're paying today, oh, it's unbelievable. My daughter has a son that's going to college. I mean, he's a senior in high school now. He's going to college next year. And the rates are like 30, 40,000 a year. I mean, unbelievable. I don't know how people pay it.
Although a state
Huh?
school is less, isn't it? A state,
Well, that's a state school.
oh,
Oh, well, wait a minute.
I don't know, I haven't checked on prices lately. They're high, I know that.
Did you make any close friends? Did you have any close friendships in the service, and did you keep in touch with anybody?
No, I don't think so.
Did you join a veterans organization after you got out of the service?
No.
How do you think your service and your experience in the service affected your life? Do you think it affected your life any?
What we thought about the service, serving,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We just did our thing, went back to school, and then went
Well,
into,
we did meet a lot of people, kind of a microcosm of the United States. Got a little more aware of the differences, but nothing great, nothing extensive. We didn't form any lifelong friendships or anything. I mean, to be honest with you, we had each other, so we didn't need anybody else. At least I felt that way.
yeah, that's true. I mean, we had friends, of course, in the service and out of the service, but nothing that amounted to a lifelong relationship of any kind.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Add,
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about that.
Okay, take your time.
One thing I have to tell you is that when we were drafted, people would lament the fact, oh, I'm drafted, I'm drafted. To me, it was like a vacation. We had had 4 or 5 semesters of college straight with no break. So this meant it was a break.
From college. Now, of course, we didn't know what we were going to face.
When we went for a physical in Chicago, because we lived in Decatur at that time with our mother, they do a whole physical on everybody. And depending on how you did, you got to choose your branch of service. So we did well. I called Decatur from Chicago before we signed on the dotted line. I said, Mom, we're gonna join the Marines.
Because we qualified to the physical.
She said, Marines. You could have heard her all the way from Decatur to Chicago.
So we decided on the Navy.
So I compromised some and said, we'll join the Navy. That happened.
And see the world, but we didn't see the world. We just saw the United States.
She didn't need a telephone. I could hear her yelling all the way from Decatur to Chicago.
Figuratively speaking.
Well, we were only,
What?
16 or 17 at the time.
It was in,
We entered college at age 16.
You did.
Well,
it was a Springfield, well, any high school at that time. I guess because of the war, they allowed students to go to university after 3 years of high school if they could pass the entrance exam to the university, and if they had a certain high school courses to equal so many hours. And we did, so we were able to go after 3 years at Springfield High School.
after 3 years of high school.
So it's
Like
kind
I
of,
said, it was like a vacation, actually.
you mean the service? Well, I didn't look at it as a
Well, I
vacation.
mean, not the service itself, but getting out of school.
That's briefly our experiences.
Well, that's a wonderful interview.